Previously on Friends and Rivals. Welcome to Friends and Rivals, a UniVersus podcast. The only UniVersus podcast
I can't hear y'all through.
I'm now going to mute you. God. You ruined the intro.
Got him.
Can't believe
it. It couldn't be actually more comically timed.
I know. Alright, and muted. 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Friends and Rivals, a UniVersus podcast. The only UniVersus podcast that's excited for the upcoming major regional, but also a little tired. I'm your sleepy host, Jacob. Below me is Zach, and below him is Josh. I'm going to unmute Zach and see what happens. 3, 2, 1, and go.
Friends and Rivals presents How to Win Your Major Regional, a guide to Season 3 2024. Please see my excellent PowerPoint that Jacob did put. Oh my god, that background is hideous. What the It was better than that.
He's also changed your font.
So, here's the deal. Jacob has not played. He's been too busy prepping to run this regional. He's played Kiryu and some Hood and nothing else.
I played some Smiley
Josh
Titan.
and I have played a medium amount of the format. Neither of us think it's particularly fun. Josh, I'm a little bit speaking for you.
Yep.
But
I've not had fun this weekend, so anytime I'm like, yeah, I'm here.
This is a guide about the things that we, mostly me, show up to the Atlanta Regional by archetypes and characters, and then some things you can do to combat that expected meta. And then I put a pie chart prediction. I don't know what Jacob included in this, or if he just included it all. But we also have some spicy takes for something that might top any of the regionals. This is heavily focused on Atlanta because that's our regional, but I believe that all of the advice and things that we're going to talk about tonight do apply to the format in general, so should apply everywhere. Jacob, why are you like...
I'm having a great time. So we have the archetypes. Do you want to go into that one?
Yeah.
Right.
The first archetype we're going to talk about is City Rampage and or Risky Encounter decks.
Love City Rampage.
Good card.
We know. Jacob, not an Earth gamer, monsieur, loves City Rampage.
Card's so fun. I played in my Chaos Mimic list.
So, in the interest of not just reading the slide, the deal here is City Rampage decks play like a ton of attacks on you. And if they also have the deaths... I don't know what you're both laughing at. I feel like there's a bit and I'm not in on it.
That is correct. If you have not turned on the stream audio, you are also not in on the bit.
I was waiting so long. I saw Josh. He heard it too.
I feel like we've been insulted for doing homework.
No, it's great. Zach is just silent. Okay, alright, hold on.
Figure out what the music is.
It's just a fun little audio. Don't worry about it. It matches the theme of the PowerPoint.
You know what, Jacob? I put a lot of effort into this podcast.
So did I,
and,
actually.
I don't appreciate your insults.
They're not insults. It's not an insult.
This is the part where I win my own $50 and cut a promo against Jacob. Look, buddy.
Just because you're not in the tournament doesn't mean we won't beat you up at Gunslinger.
I was one. Oh man. By the way, the entire PowerPoint's like this.
This hideous background.
Yeah.
How's it going, Chris?
It's the entire.
unreadable. This is so ugly.
All right, okay. Joking aside. All right. Okay, I've done my fun. I've had my fun. I'm crying. I'm crying tears. So we can go to the real one now.
Monoko, it's because Jacob didn't cut the clip and post it anywhere, so no one knows about the promo challenge.
In my defense, I got real busy and had some really awful things come up. It's been a week, dog.
Our 10 viewers, you should be making promos and winning by $50.
Yep.
If there's one entry and it's Justin Birch, he doesn't win.
All right, guys. So I have now put the real slides up. Y'all tell me. Y'all, which is better? Be honest.
This one is readable, at least.
Yeah,
Which one is better?
I'll leave it to Chad on that one.
Hey, I was
Also,
copy
hi, Ace. How's it going?
first. Sam, I don't even know what that means.
It's pretty good. It's long. It's like hour-long PowerPoints, Google slide games.
Oh. All right, hold on. I did put the Spotify back on, but everyone wants the other song. So there you go.
I can't hear the music.
Good.
So.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
we have no idea. Now I gotta fucking.
Legible PowerPoint is doable.
I mean, I can always switch it back.
No, focus up. We got to do. I got Mass Effect to play.
We can power through this real quick if you're distracted. It's not hard. There's not that many slides.
All right.
City Rampage decks. You know them. You love them if you're Jacob. You hate them if you're a control player. The thing they got now is if they have the death symbol. So if they're Death Arms, if they're not the Brave, if they're Dobby 1, I'm sure there's some other character. Toga 3. They now get to
Mushroom Girl.
They now get to play Inasa.
Inasa.
Yeah. They now get to play Stupid Risky Encounters, which is not a fair card. In case you didn't know, this one doesn't need to exist. They get to play it on 1 from their discard pile. That's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So don't always combine. If they don't have the death symbol, then they don't get to play risky. Some risky decks aren't City Rampage decks, but these are these types of things where they're just cheating. Difficulty or cheating, the ability to play 7 attacks in a turn, I think are one of the big archetypes that are going to show up. Josh, thoughts?
Yeah. So these City Rampage decks are pretty sneaky at getting in wins. You find enough stuff, you can kind of slap it into any 5 difficulty deck. It could be on Earth, could be on Chaos, could be on Water. Any of these new Chaos cards that are 5 diffs. Is it Sworn by Titans? That's your next check gets +1 for each momentum you have, and it's a base +1. So all of a sudden you're playing your next one. Even if it's your first attack, you're getting +3 to your next check. That's an easy heat ray. That could be an easy risky encounter if you have those symbols. It's the early threat of just really pumping out City Rampage damage just is always threatening. And you need to either have answers for stopping the City Rampage, whether it's just check hacking, canceling the form if you have any access to that, or if you have any, if you're more worried about the risky encounters, you have to be able to handle the risky encounter, which sometimes they're not fast, sometimes they are. It depends on who's playing it.
Yeah. But even with City Rampage especially, it's 5 speed, stun 1. It's for 13 a lot of the time, especially if they went first or if they went second. Man, these 2 cards combined is actually crazy. Individually, they're both ban worthy, and I think there is a deck that is going to. There are decks or multiple that are going to combine these, and they're going to show up big for the regional season.
Listen, chat. I was cooking. We can do Mushroom Girl, Risky Encounter, City Rampage.
No.
Yeah, Mount Lady 2 can't play risky, but whatever. Yeah. Okay, next one. Continue on.
All right. 4 check tribal.
Yeah, so this is notably not just Smiling Titan. though Smiling Titan will be in this PowerPoint a little bit later. But this can be any character playing 4-check tribal. So Dan, I think, has been in the chat. Josh has been playing a little bit of Dan's Inasa deck, where you're playing CD Rampage, but also just this 4-check tribal deck. I think I heard some rumors about George Zhang showing up with like a Hanj deck and ruining a locals one time.
I mean, I've been playing Hood with 4-check tribal. It's been pretty
Mhm.
fun.
Yep.
There are a ton of benefits to this deck. The drawbacks are obvious that you have to play 8 diffs, 9 diffs, 10 diffs. But the safety 4s idea gives you so much flexibility in your builds.
And even then, I would even say building the 8s, 9s, and 10s aren't even that much of a drawback, considering there's a lot of 6s and 7s that kind of outweigh that cost, right?
Honestly,
and then the
I don't think I've
Go
seen
ahead, Jacob.
I don't think I've seen 4-check tribal Godzilla yet. Of all of the characters, I don't think I've seen that yet.
Godzilla -1 rides again. Rides for the first time, really.
The big thing about these 4-check attacks is the blitz abilities are generally like insanely good. And I have been playing a 4-check tribal deck a lot recently, and the amount of times where you go like play my thing, respond, do my thing, blitz, do my thing, first enhance, pass, and you have to take an action. You got to answer my 6-10 throw, or my 8 mid 8, or my 10 mid 8, or whatever it is, right? And then figure it out from there. If you don't answer it, I've already passed. Go, time to block, nerd. Block on a 10. There's another one after this. So I think that these attacks, they're also super resistant to like printed resets, because they're printed 8s a lot of the time. Just they're quality attacks that offset their own drawbacks by checking better than an attack.
Yep.
I agree. It's
4-checks are dumb. They're real fun.
Yeah. They really stabilize how your builds go, that it can come down to, hey, how many foundations did you draw? And chances are you can just build all of them. Especially if you're on safety 4s, you will just build your whole hand going first, more than likely.
Yeah.
All right. So like, if we want to be real for a second, 4-check tribal also just kind of fundamentally changes your math on how to play the game, as well. You have with 4-check tribal so many more options for those 3 and 2 checks. You know those 0s that you build up on a lot, and those 1s to make sure you have wider build turns. Well, you know what? Your 2s become 1s and your 1s become 0s. It's crazy. 4-check tribal is -1 speed to all attacks. Change my mind. You know what? Technically, kind of true. True, actually.
Yeah. Your math goes from I have to hope they check a 3 into I know they're checking a 4 at least, and that's a little bit harder to push over, right?
Yeah.
4-check tribal changes where your breakpoint is for speed. Because right now your breakpoint is at 4 speed. 4-check tribal means your breakpoint is at 5 speed. If your opponent is playing a 4-check tribal deck and your moves are less than 5 speed, they are too slow.
MHA Spotlight is the better format. Fight me? I can't fight you. I can play Nomu in that format. Damn.
Mr. Final Max, you've never played against Jacob. He just plays turn 1 Ultra Regen and 3-check decks.
I have.
He just
multiple times. Listen, you gotta have it. You just gotta have it. If I didn't have it, it wasn't meant to be. If I could play Unwavering Slash, get out of here. Sam.
So, obviously for these archetype sections, we're not saying, I'm not saying what character this is going to show up in. We're going to talk about some specific characters a bit later. But as chat has talked about, this could be Godzilla. This could be Inasa. This could be... I think there's a Ghidorah deck that could play this. Jacob's playing Hood.
I've played it. I could see it in a world of Momo.
I mean, honestly, you could take this attack package and play it in pretty much any character, and it'd be fine. You're
Anyone that wants to
limiting,
build really deep,
you're limiting a lot of your options and stuff, but like, and your options to branch out. But honestly, most of your attacks are going to be very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It depends on like what your other 4-check attune symbols you want are.
Yeah, I think the death symbol is the best 4-check tribal symbol. Right? You don't have to necessarily, but
as long as you can play Ravages of War.
Ravages of War and Disciplined Maneuver, the stun 2 6 high for 3.
Yeah.
I think that card is actually bonkers. Ravages is probably the best of the high difficulty attacks because its effect is wildly unfair. I think Discipline Maneuvers is the second best one.
Lukewarm take. Ravages, get out of here.
Yeah, that one's got to go. You can't. It's not a ban list podcast, but that one's got to go.
Cards.
Yeah, if that sticks around for another year,
oh my lord,
not good for a game.
Nope.
3 years.
I'm just saying for a year, right? If it sticks around for an entire year.
Yeah, those are ridiculous. But yeah, that's are we good to go to the next one?
Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna do my spiel for all these, and then let Josh give his feedback, and Jacob can talk, and we can discuss. But if there's nothing to discuss, we can just move on.
Yeah. So we have the Void Defense packages.
How did we end up back in the unreadable slot?
He keeps going back and forth between it.
This is Rodan. It theoretically could be a different character. You could see this pop up out of like a Not the Brave or
So
Mr. Head 2. There's like 1,000 Void characters that could play this, but
someone on Death, someone on Evil, or Void. Like they'll have some like you draw a triangle in between like what 3 you want to play, and those are the 3 you get.
Yeah. They're just gonna delete your attacks, or they're gonna zero out your damage, or they're gonna zero out your speed. They're gonna block everything. You really need cancels in this matchup. You need to cancel Barrier Shield, you need to cancel Cape, you need to cancel Condescending Explanation. You want your asset destruction, those types of things. I personally, I think this is just the best way to play Rodan. But you guys could just say, I know, Ace. I said it 4 times. I don't make Void decks because I'm not a cringe lord.
I make Void decks. I'm a cringe lord. I've been playing Void this entire season for the most part.
I'm sorry, Zach. What character have you been playing recently?
We don't talk about what character. I've been playing a lot of characters recently. I played a lot of Emir recently, actually.
You have been playing also one of the cringiest characters of all time. But, you know. God, it's so loud.
Thoughts on the Void decks? I think this is a pretty staple.
Yeah.
Like, this is better. None of these cards are new.
And I think even if you're not on Void, right, you're going to try and choose these. So if you're playing Fire, you're playing Evil, you're going to pick up your Barrier Shields. They're kind of a must-have. It's a must-have for your Condescendings. So if you have momentum going second and you're not killing someone and this attack, that True 100, I need that True 100 flipped, right? I need that thing gone. That Twisting Azure, you can have 7 damage on it. I'm flipping it right now, right? Good try.
Just aggro the hell out of these decks.
Yeah, there was a game Josh and I played yesterday.
Yep.
Where he landed 3 Knots Flasks, and I was like, "Oh, cool, we're on Plan B." It was like turn 4.
Yep.
Real quick, I just want to go to what Mr. Final Max said. He can play Barrier Shield and Condescending and Evil, which he can do it. But let's be honest, Ghidorah will also play this package. Ghidorah also has a bunch of other tools. Ghidorah should be his own thing in this sideshow. Spoiler alert, I don't think it is.
Spoiler alert, it is.
I didn't read ahead.
We know.
Alright, you ready to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Alrighty.
I think this is the last one. That's a
yes,
package.
lots of big packages, yes.
All right, so we have the self-mill combo. Take it away, Zach.
So this is doing a lot of what Travis's St. Louis deck was doing. There's just like 4 characters that can do this right now. Where you're either playing something like Twisting Azure Inferno, also needs to be banned. It's been too long.
It rotates soon, don't worry.
But you're playing something like Twisting Azure Inferno or some other fast move, and you're just pumping its stats to the moon through combined firepower, milling, avoiding the conflict, milling, I'm with you. Ace Maneuvers is in chat, said it is a Death Casino deck. I don't know how consistent these are. I've seen them a lot. People really like them. This is also like, if you've watched Tam's channel, he played like a gamer toga list that was doing this sort of thing. Wolfwood can do this.
Aaron, the ultra rare Aaron can do this.
Yes.
Any of these
So
like
can
death pair.
so can Vash.
You know who can
Anybody
also
with
do
that
this?
symbol, honestly, can do this.
You know who can also do this? Woman.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
The only thing she can't use is I'm with you.
Yeah. But all of I'm with you as a stand-in. Attack on Titan has like 7 remove trigger cards on the Death Attune symbol. That they're like 7 is probably an exaggeration, but they're playing a lot of them, and being able to like continuously trigger fire powers that you mill off your other fire powers is what's fueling a lot of these decks. Yeah, I think these are probably the coolest decks in the format, in my opinion. They're not anything I would ever play. This is not my style, but these decks are cool. And
They're cool. I'd never play that. So funny, I don't know why.
You need your discard hate against these. Bad opinion that they're the coolest decks, or that I wouldn't play it.
Clearly, that you wouldn't play it is the bad opinion.
I don't want to play it, and I like to. I signed up for a whole hour. This is not a whole hour deck.
This is yeah. This is the I'm gonna try and kill you.
That they're the coolest? I don't think he said they're coolest. I think he just says the decks are cool.
Yeah.
You're not even cool enough for you to play them. Listen, if there's one thing you learned from this podcast today, Zach is not cool. Zach, lame and cringe. And that's what he plays.
Yeah, Zach wants to be here the whole hour. I'm trying to get 15 minutes in and then take a nap.
Yeah, I want to go walk around or hang with the homies. Zach's over here in prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Josh, thoughts on these decks before we move on to the next one?
I love these decks. I was playing a very similar thing with Aaron, with the ultra rare Aaron. It was very cool.
Yeah.
I didn't have the combined fire powers in it yet, just because it was like a prototype with just weapons, and it did. But like the Fury package could be pretty cool with it. Avoiding conflict finds its home in a lot of decks just for being sometimes, hey, I need to change what cards in my hand, and I'm going to hope it's something good on top, right? A lot of these cards, and the one thing you're not covering in this is, so besides the avoiding conflict, right, or avoiding conflict and I'm with yous, there's a lot of the targeted when they enter your discard pile, do a thing, which you are showing off the I'm with yous, but there's also very important things like foundation flipping or check hacking, speed adjustments. Lots of different things that you should be worried about when you're handling these.
There were like 9 cards in that like death attuned do a thing when it gets real that I just picked I'm with you to be the example of those.
Yeah.
So that the slide
for the viewers, I just wanted to make sure, for the viewers, I just want to make sure they knew that there's other options between just +2, -2 damage. There's also speed hate, there's also check hacking, there's board hate. Yeah, you have lots of options. They can beware that they can do a lot of things, have whatever protection you need. And a lot of them just get canceled by an incredible display if you really are that worried about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think now we're on to character-specific breakdowns and some examples. And I believe we're starting with the big bad.
Smiling Titan.
This deck is bull. Let's get out of the way up front.
All right.
This deck's uncool. This shouldn't exist. This has a very straightforward game plan. They would like to do 12 to you on turn 2, and then 24 to you on turn 3, and that kills everyone but Byaku and fresh cut grass, I guess.
Yeah.
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 I don't.
I got nothing. Have the answers. That's all I got. Right.
Yeah.
Have your jury. Have your barrier shield. Have a cape. Have
No.
a momentum already for condescending explanation.
Always remember to never go down to one card against Smiling Titan, because that's when they hit you with Ravages every damn time.
If your dedication to the tournament is I'm gonna f every single Smiling Titan I run into, just play, as Ross says, play Toru.
Yep. All right.
Simple equals BS. Straightforward equals unfair. Flexible defensive plan equals plays its entire hand. Hey, man.
So I'm also under the opinion with Smiling Titan that it's annoying. But now that all their characters have been dealt with, I think it's probably fine. It's about as annoying as well, maybe not as annoying as Nomu. It's way more annoying than Nomu was.
It's way more annoying than Nomu.
Yes, but like it's still beatable. It's still, you can still tech against it. You can still do well.
It is beatable. You can survive against it. It does just rely on you finding whatever you need to survive that turn 2, turn 3 aggression, and then trying to form a plan into the late game.
Correct. It's not actually the final boss that in like any Final Fantasy.
Until they go to 12, until they go to 14 Foundation, then play 3 of their attacks, and one of them just takes Afterlife.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we call that out here in the slideshow, right? It's you can stall them if you get 50 foundations on board. You probably won't lose to them. One thing that like I have been at my lukewarm take is that I think only one copy of Smiling is going to make top cuts.
I'm sorry. This is the Halo Rocket tag of UVS characters.
Fun of a lot of people for being bowler bumper lanes characters, and this is a bowling bumper lane character.
Sam, that's the best thing I've heard all day. Actually, real talk.
Yeah, Ross, as you're saying, Ravages is the same. Like it has that same draw ratio that Toga 3 has for finding Deception Dagger turn 2 every single time. I don't know how it does it. Here's Deception Dagger.
Listen, we know it's supposed to be a real statistic, but somehow it's 95% of the time.
Yeah.
I've turned to Kawinma's task that the Toga player, they still had a Deception Dagger.
But
that's a joke, but it wouldn't surprise me. It would just be in their hand.
Yep.
Somehow. Are we ready to go to Rodan? I'm sorry, spoilers.
Yeah.
Rodan's the next character.
Josh, I want you to talk about Rodan. You've played a lot more Rodan than I have.
Yeah.
Oh, Josh is talking?
So I'll talk about it. So Rodan does a lot of speed. I know there's some decks that do like big hits. They're probably going to try and string you out from repeateds because that's still just kind of the deck. Void punches didn't really get much, but it's still very popular. He can kind of just die if you aggress into him and he gets too greedy on his builds, and you will have to decide how you want to play in your turn based on the final card they checked. So it's going to be a little bit of a cat and mouse of going, I know you have a 3 or a 4 on top, and that's the one you're going to use, and you have to take a good look at their board and go, is there any way they can manipulate that to be like, to figure out what they're trying to do? And you can spend a lot more time playing this mini game with them without having, and if you don't come up with a good kill string for it, they're probably just going to block everything. Especially if they're on Void, they're going to have infinite combined firepowers until you can hate out their firepowers. Get them to cycle, you're probably in a better state. I haven't tried the all symbol, but it's done good numbers. You have to watch out. You still have to watch out for those true 100s on those full blocks, so you don't just get to like punk them. They're like, hey, I'll take half on this one. Just make sure they're big and make sure that they have to spend their cards to actually do things, and try not to send mids at them, right? That's kind of what we've learned over the past like season and a half, that maybe like you can't just send mids against them, right? We already knew that.
Maybe firepower was a mistake.
Yeah. Maybe we have a lot of cards that should have been banned in this past like 2 or 3 sets.
Nah.
Yeah. I think one of the things here is like yesterday Josh and I were playing test games and I got locked. Right? It was, I think I said earlier, it was turn 3 and he had 3 Knots flasks.
Mhm.
I was playing a deck trying to send 1 or 2 moves a turn. I was never, ever winning that game.
Yeah. Like, I got our game 1, and then you would send, like, 10 damage moves, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'll minus speed, spooky. Cool. You can now fight over the damage if you want to, right? And now I have flasks to handle anything else. You'll have whatever you need. All 3 of these symbols are in a very good spot. You have to worry about walk the dogs if they're playing air. You have to worry about true 100s or funny punches if they're playing all. And then who knows what they'll do if they're playing void. It could be a bunch of highs. It could be a lot of different options, right? Shards of Winter is very popular.
It's going to be Ice Sword into Shards into Trigrav a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Um,
So it'll be like hold a high in 2 mids, and then really hold a high in 3 mids.
Hold a high in 3 mids.
Yeah. Or find a way to draw after it gets removed.
Or
block with your own combined firepower.
Throw them into Oblivion. There you go.
There's a lot of good throw hate.
There is a lot of good throw hate.
Air has throw hate as an attune card at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So Rodan is allowed to just play throw hate main deck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a 4
so.
And I did hit.
Sure.
I did hit Zach with the surprise breaker 4. It was very good.
You are if you don't die to a 20 damage throw, then it doesn't matter that it's a 4 check.
Yep.
In my opinion, it's this character or the next character are the best character in the format.
Do we want to go ahead and go to the next character with that in mind? It's a good segue. And that next character is King Ghidorah.
The problem with that plan, Max, is that you're not discarding the recovery time. It's getting removed.
Yeah.
All right, Zach, talk to us about King Ghidorah.
A lot of people think this character's boring. Those people are right. This character is just highly efficient, highly adaptable. It's so hard to kill, and I tried to impress upon this.
Oh, it is leave your hand. Okay, you're right.
I tried to impress upon this in the lead up to St. Louis. If you put this deck in a position where you're like a little tapped out, or you go down to no cards in hand, and you have them on the back foot, they will just kill you. They don't always have to, but they can. And so you're never allowed to be like out of position versus Ghidorah, because they'll send a true 100 for your life total. They'll send a Dragon of the Darkness Flame for your life total. They'll grab a Petra Terror Onslaught out of their discard pile and then pick up 2 4 diffs, and suddenly their 1 attack hand became 5 or 6. I don't think this is a particularly good risky encounter deck, because Ghidorah wants a stage, but if he gets outbuilt, you could have a risky encounter just come out of nowhere.
It also solves a little bit of his problem, right? Where if he doesn't have a card in hand, if he whiffs on his turn, he can blow up 3 and rebuild out of his hand, right?
Yep.
This
character is
really
just
good to get out of deadlock if that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I, by Zach's opinion, is the best character in the format. Rodan is so close that it's like a toss-up in a lot of cases, but I think Ghidorah is marginally harder to kill than Rodan.
I have a pretty good win rate against Ghidorah, so I think it's pretty terrible. I don't know what you're talking about. I think it's pretty crap. The joke here is I'm really good at beating Zach when he's playing Ghidorah.
Jacob is really good at beating me specifically with any deck.
It's literally just Zach. It's really funny, but it's like,
I'm pretty sure I've lost to Jacob playing Moonfish before. Like, he just kills me specifically.
I did actually kill him as Moonfish. It was super sick. Oh.
One thing to note on this character, a lot like Ghidorah, if they win game, or a lot like Rodan, sorry, if they win game 1, pack it in. Just like, if game 1 takes 45 minutes, don't bother. just scoop and go take a break. Because you're not killing them.
Speaking of not killing, our next character is Ryuku.
This is an interesting one. I think this is going to show up a lot in Atlanta, and it might show up a lot internationally. I don't think any of us are a believer in this deck, right? Jacob, you are?
Yeah, I think it's cool as hell.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it? Talk about your thoughts on it a little bit? I put my thoughts on what the deck is trying to do and like what I think it should be doing, but like I don't think the deck is that great.
Okay. So my experience with the current iterations of the deck is very minimal. However, this is a character that can just infinite draw cards near amount. Not only can it have infinite near card draw, it can have infinite near momentum, which is really good in this current format with a very certain card called vertical movement equipment. That is what it's called. It's one
Close
from
enough.
What was it?
Close enough.
Yeah, close up.
Vertical maneuvering equipment.
Vertical maneuvering equipment. You can just give everything -3 speed and everything +3 speed. It's dumb. Also, you have under Life and Earth, you can play Incredible Display and just infinite pickup blocks. Any zone you need. Speaking of zones, choose one. As long as you have momentum and a VME, you can have any zone you want. The deck is kind of cracked. The fact that vertical maneuvering equipment isn't unique is crazy.
Or Attack on Titan character locked.
The fact that this slide says no longer just playing blanks attacks, honestly, just play more blank attacks. That's all you need, actually. You don't really care. I think that's the crazy part about this character in this deck, is that you can still only play. You don't need to play the loop card. You don't need the Dragon Strike.
Dragon Impact. The
Dragon
most
Impact.
modern versions of the deck are not playing Impact at all. They've actually full cut it to the sideboard.
Yeah, most of the time it comes down to, do I need to commit my opponent's character, and then am I willing to take that risk in this matchup for it?
It should have just been ODM gear.
And Dan does put out a good point that sometimes you need the second one, right?
Yes.
You will not feel like you're able to play defense or offense well if you don't have two of them out, because some of these moves are just too big for her.
True. However, the number of times you're going to see 2 in this deck, you're running 4 of it. There's for all you old heads out here, I kind of like look at Ryuku.
Derogatory.
No, this one's not derogatory. It's only derogatory when I'm talking about me. So all you old heads, non-derogatory. You remember how like Xianghua was built? Well, Kevin Brower built that deck when it first came out, and how it was very much 4 of everything. That's how I kind of feel about Ryuku in this particular instance. It's a 4x of everything you need. That way you always see it. It's consistent. It's cool. My experience has been very limited, but my very limited experiences, I have that same feeling of the Xianghua deck, where it's like, man, you just see all the things you need, huh? That's crazy. And that's it for me, man. If I had the time this past like few weeks, I probably would have built this deck. I'm not gonna lie to y'all.
Yeah, we built it. We played against it. Josh played it. Our buddy Paul played it. It's fine. It's cool. If you don't find VME, I don't think this deck does anything.
Yeah,
and that's my problem with it.
I think it has too many blank cards now in it. Like, yeah, if you don't find, but it's if you get unlucky and don't find your VMEs, then all of a sudden you have a bunch of blank cards that don't do anything, and you hope for the best.
Yeah. But George is probably going to win the event with it. So what do I know?
Yeah,
probably.
I was just saying, this feels from having played his list, it is a very George deck. The amount of games when I play that, I'm trying to sculpt.
Next up is Ymir. Zach, go for it.
I think this deck is crazy. I love this deck. Ymir is absolutely exploiting like every repeatable life gain possible. She, I think, is the best go second character in the format. Your ability to play like multiple 3 diffs in a turn is very on par with the 4-check tribal decks, even if you're playing 3 checks. The game plan of like, I'll face tank your first or second attack to go to half health, so that when I flip, I can gain 14 health and my last attack is plus 14 damage, is very cool. One of the reasons an SR... Yeah, so the most popular build is Life, exploiting Immortal Shapeshifter, and Throws, and I think that's the one that will show up the most in Atlanta, if my predictions are correct.
Yeah, I think that'll
Josh,
make...
you've played against this deck a lot, right?
Yes,
Because I've been playing it.
Yep. So I've had a lot of experience into this one. You can try and do what you want into it. Either find ways to stop regaining life is what you kind of have to hope for. You can probably block 2 or 3, but if they have the echo moves, all of a sudden that like 4th or 5th attack that's in that string, because they're a 7-hander that probably has enough ways to draw cards, all of a sudden it's big, right? They're huge, and if they're playing throws, like they're for 20. Like Jawjammer in this character on life it's for 20. They're also, it's only the 3rd attack in their pool, even if their 5th attack in the turn.
Yeah, Uplifting Bond goes really hard here. This character, if we were to do a top 5, I think is right around the 4 or 5 spot for me. This might be the best aggro deck.
Outside of Smiling, you think? Or even with Smiling?
Smiling is a deck. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's just...
I'd say it's a top 5 aggro deck. I don't know if it's the aggro deck. But I don't know. Going back to the joke of my experience fighting this deck. I've killed a lot of people pre-flip. Yeah, probably. The joke is that I play you and I kill you, so I don't know.
Sure.
Mr. Despair gets reliably nuts.
Yeah.
Cards expensive.
Yeah, I remember...
It is a nutso card, and anybody that can gain a singular point of life reliably.
Even in characters that are like aren't this, it's like I found 1 life, cool, my next, whatever it is, right? My Heat Ray, my 8 diff, my 10 diff, my next one, that doesn't count. I'll play it on the 10. Like, you get to be Overhaul, right? If you think of it as Mitts, it lets me be Overhaul if they don't block this.
7-hand Overhaul.
And you could just play it in Overhaul.
Mm-hmm.
Uwabami even plays Mists, yeah? So, I have a question for you gentlemen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do we do?
Pray?
No. We have a whole slide of answers.
Oh.
We go
fishing.
I hate how you've done this. Because that's a different... that has a different meaning.
I know. It was so good.
All right.
And this is the slide I figured Jacob didn't read. Because there's just a joke in the middle of it.
Yeah, man. Explain!
Okay. So this slide is what to do in the format. I went to a LQ this past weekend in a neighboring city with a lot of players going to Atlanta. As the most experienced player that was at that event, they were asking me what I think they should sideboard, what they should tech for, that sort of thing. I hope they're in the chat because I told them to tune in and watch this podcast. But I think your deck needs 3 big things to exist in the format, and then a 4th small thing. You need to protect your stuff. Whether that is through cancels, like Dr. Ichigaki, League of Villains,
Unbreakable.
Unbreakable.
True. Josh did lock me out of a game with Unbreakable yesterday. It was very funny.
Chivalrous.
Love that card.
I was trying to ruin 13 him, and it was just like, yeah, Unbreakable just cancels the entire thing.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of people that are going to be following rest of this list, right? So issues, cancels normally don't touch characters. I don't know what you want, Brody. You got it. Yeah, they got you, I guess.
Go on, continue.
Their character deletes your whole attack, they got you. The other thing you need is hand traps. Don't let your opponent see what's happening. Jury, Barrier Shield, Airy Smiles, Hero's Upbringing. Hero's Upbringing is a card a lot of people have talked about in the past and never really surfaces. I think Hero's Upbringing is going to show up this season. That is a card that is very good. It single-handedly beats Ghidorah a lot of the time.
It shuts down the Ymir turns.
Shuts down Ymir. It can shut down late-game Smiling strings. When Smiling is on turn 15 and has 30 foundations and is trying to play 4 attacks, after the second one, they're not as big anymore. But to fight decks like Smiling, you need Barrier Shields or Juries, depending on what symbol you're on. To fight decks like Ymir, Pony, Mikasa, if that shows up. These like big long string decks. Airy Smiles is really good. So yeah, I think you need hand traps.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing I think you must have is stage interaction. Been harping on this to everybody in our area who listens to me. You gotta touch your opponent. Like, you gotta, don't let them have their stuff. Seizing the Advantage, Split Body Control, League Invitation, Button Collector. I know someone like Tam has in the past been big on influencing the youth.
Mm-hmm.
Even if these are temporary answers that are just stunning them or committing them for a turn, that's an acceptable rate if you're on like the order symbol that doesn't have permanent answers. But if you can play things like Split Body Control, Seizing the Advantage, you need to be doing that because your opponent's cards are good. Don't let them play them.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then the sometimes cards. I have hate cards here. Sins of the Past, Deception Dagger, Can't Escape Me, Decay Awakened. Sometimes they just have the thing and you can't let that happen. Risky Encounter, that one's got to get the out of their discard pile. Combined Firepower, that one's got to go. So we need Sins of the Past, we need Deception Daggers. I think Deception Dagger is a criminally underplayed card. Decay Awakened, if like my opponent is way outbuilding me and I'm not a risky deck, just nuke it. Get the board out of here. Or if my opponent is a risky deck,
nuke the board and they can't play it.
Nuke the board, they can't play risky.
That's a cool Ghidorah board they've built. Shame if it was all gone, right?
Yep.
I don't want to go to deadlock. I'm about to go to deadlock. I'll just blow up the board. It's better off with us being back at 0. I can hopefully do something from next turn.
Big red button, self-destruct. Boom. Speaking of Zach's thoughts, he has some predictions. On a pie chart even. Zach, please, justify your pie chart.
This is the percentage pie chart, right?
Yep.
My stream is way behind. My internet's
that's fine.
Not great today.
You have your slides.
Yeah. So I think I put the top 6 or 7 characters on here. These are the things I think will be on the pie chart as far as representation goes. And then we've got our other, I think roughly 2/3 of the format is going to be these 7 characters. I'll explain the no pony here in a second. I think Smiley is going to be
explain the pony now. We demand answers.
I was going to have pony on it, and Jacob talked me out of it.
I did?
Is the actual answer? Yeah.
Oh. Look at that. I don't know.
I was gonna put pony up here, and Jacob said that he thought the pony deck was too complicated for this many people to play. And so it got bumped down a ranking over the more straightforward decks. You'll notice the only complicated decks on here are Rodan and Ghidorah, because I think those are the 2 best characters of the format. And they're not even the most registered. Smiling, I think, is going to be the most registered deck. My regional picks to click.
Oh, Brody's next video about what to pick. Yeah, I guess what you would expect. Yeah.
Just teammates in our chat promoting their own content on our channel.
That's fine.
Like
that's
true
called
savages.
Synergy, baby.
I know 5 people taking pony, and I'm sure more people outside of it, because that's just from my group.
Sure.
That's crazy.
That's still less than 5%, right? Potentially.
No, 5 at the current rates, 5 people would be right at 5%.
Yeah.
I think, but
I mean, no, but okay.
in my chart, Aaron is at 5. My chart has way less registration. I didn't realize that there were over 100 people signed up already.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like in the 80s, I think, for total count, which is where these percentages came from. But the percentages, I think, will still make sense. Toga 3 has always been one of the most registered characters. I don't care if its conversion rate sucks.
People love playing that deck. It like kind of. It sometimes just shuts
better.
Up. Yeah.
I also think it got a lot better with all the new stuff, but that's just me.
Risky Encounter, crazy addition to that. Double Bladed Spin, crazy addition to that. So I think Toga's going to show up. The 2 best decks are going to show up. The straightforward deck and Smiling Titan is going to show up. And then I think you're gonna have like a smattering of these aggro decks of like Godzilla, Ryuku. I have Aaron here because I think Aaron is a sneaky good pick. I've seen that character put out just like a ton of offense, kind of out of nowhere.
Yeah, I think like when we were doing our own playtesting, you were like sitting at 23 as Emir, blocked one thing, and then I just took out the 23 after that.
Yeah. So like I think there is something there with ultra rare Aaron, and I think people are going to show up with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's. Oh, then we have hot takes, right? We have our
our quote unquote dark
horse picks.
Zach has a weird one. It's a hot one. Dobby 1, get Brett Pendragon into the chat now. I know it's probably too late.
It is 2 in the morning.
Dan, I'm counting on you.
All right, Zach, give us your hot take about Dobby 1.
So maybe I missed it. Jacob and I were having a conversation, or maybe it was Josh and I. It was yesterday. Spoiler, I made this PowerPoint yesterday, so half of the thoughts were things that got talked about yesterday. Someone said Dobby has City Rampage and a Risky symbol, and I was like, oh, holy f***, I think that's awesome. Someone should do that. We should make our opponent play. We should play a Risky while we have less foundations than our opponent, give it a bunch of damage, and then be like, hey, blow up your whole stage. Thanks.
Yeah. That's the whole thing.
So I think this deck is cool as there is no list. I don't know anyone that has played this.
I have no idea.
Get on
it. Jamie, tell Rocky.
Well, we'll tell our local Farst.
Jacob, you're on Kiryu, right? This is just your Dragon Sword.
Spoiler alert. I've been playing a lot of Kiryu. So like spoiler, I have this really sick deck box that I didn't realize I bought. It's Green Ranger, Dragon Zord, and boy howdy, are we playing Kiryu in this Green Ranger deck box. But also it's just been a crazy amount of fun, and it went undefeated at our LQ a couple weeks ago. I'm not playing in the regional. I'm not allowed to, hence because I'm running it. However, if I was playing in the regional, I would actually be playing this because, unlike Zach, I don't want to be there for an hour. I'm going to get in, I'm going to hit you hard, and then I'm going to leave. I didn't actually pick this character. Zach put it in the slideshow, but it's all I've really been playing besides Hood. I think the character is actually kind of sick. And the right aggro player can take this and just get there, man. Josh, I know you didn't really pick Inasa. Do you want to put your
I did not.
Image on the screen?
Sure. Just throw like a pony on there. That's my guess. She's gonna get that top 8 real easy.
All right.
Not really a dark horse, but it is a horse.
It is a horse.
A literal horse.
Josh, I have put your image on the screen.
All right. So I missed the actual announcement of what homework we had to do, and so I was like, what do we need? Good And so it was just like, cool, pick some things that I think are going to be seen and some like lower dark. And so I took the idea of like, I'll put in some things that I don't expect some people to play. I think my wild take is that like Overhaul might see a random resurgence. So you might have to be wary of that. Like being able to play face down into Midst of Despair, like play your face down Midst of Despair, play your next one off of progressive. Like life got a lot of good things and you can play Earth or Evil and have these really good attacks now.
I think your hottest take is that there's a Beast Titan popping up at the bottom there. Give me just the eyes.
I think there's like a little bit of sauce you can have with Beast Titan. I don't know how good it'll be, but I think that if someone has been cooking really hard with Beast Titan, and what's the face window attack, right?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't think.
Yeah, the one that rebuilds a backup. Using that with Beast Titan is probably a very good idea, right? Being able to say, "Hey, I'm maybe a low health 5-hander character, but you have to attack my Smiling Titan in return, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna play this. I'm gonna play my Duplicitous. I'm gonna put down my extra. I'm gonna draw an extra card, right? I'm gonna build down my 7-diff into a foundation, right? That's doing kind of Toguro things. One thing he's missing, Duplicitous encounter, yeah.
I don't think you can play that card, but I like where your head's at.
Duplicitous.
Oh, is he death?
He's death. Yeah, he's life death.
Okay, carry on.
Yeah. So like being able to play those attacks and then even just playing some Dan, I still believe in you. They asked, I believe in that deck. I believe that deck is not for me. That's my takeaway from the Rampage analysis. Where was I? Yeah. My hot take is Beast Titan probably could like do well if they've cooked with it a lot. Because I think that is actually a pretty good defensive deck that like does the younger things, but with a 4-check tribal. I think my actual hot take is the Bert, the hiding Bert. That character got touched probably a little bit too soon. I think he was kind of fine because he was just fine, right? You just half blocked everything. He kind of got big. When everyone else got the touch, I think his new power level of only being once per turn is a little bit better. And I think someone can probably cook with him pretty well. Like people like Mountain Lady 2, right? We've all said that he's just Mountain Lady 2 with stun 1 and he just has to flip.
Yeah.
My Mecha Godzilla is really just all the Godzillas. You should expect to see a couple of Godzillas almost always. I think Mikasa's still kind of around somewhere. She's going to float around. Erwin and Ghidorah are just kind of both the control decks that are going to float around along with like Shigaraki. I think with all the support that Death and Order got, I still think there's a random Shigi 3 deck that will exist somehow, right?
I'm betting 3 Shigis will be signed up for this regional.
I'm betting all 3 of them will die on turn 2 to Smiling Titan at least once in the tournament.
Unless, of course, you know. Oh,
but like he has like fighting for controls and stuff. Yeah. But he has like fighting for controls and stuff, and his own foundations and his own ability. So I think he has like a couple ways to survive against Smiling that should help him manage out. But there are going to be those people that have like played Shigi 3 a lot.
Yeah, like you have to be a really good control player, I feel like. But that like I can think of like 3 people right now that could probably play a Shigaraki into this format, and I would not be surprised in the slightest if they made top cuts.
Yeah.
Like
I think this character's still good. And I think you're probably playing on Evil with all the other support, right? Being able to have whether it's like Sins of the Past or any of these order attuned cards that can really help out. Being able to commit their entire board if you want to play the 7-diff, you're like, hey, those 2s, get them out of here. Or at least like commit them, right?
Yeah.
This is a 7 low 7, I think. Like commit those ones, then figure it out from there.
I really want to see Erwin do well. Pre-release, Erwin was like Josh and I's most hyped character.
Yeah.
Until they told us we can't take wall counters off cards on our stage. But I think Ross said Erwin's the best character no one is playing. That's probably true.
I think doing the obvious, like trying to go for the death package is probably wrong, and I think you're supposed to be playing them on order with like walk dogs and stuff.
Sure. I'd hope he does well. I hope someone has a cool Erwin deck that they've cooked on and we get to see it, because I think it's a coolish character. and I just don't want to see them get splattered by Smiling Titan.
Yep. If you can find a way to live, it's that like same death issue where the seven-hander death character has to live past turn 2, right?
That is going to be it for this episode of Friends and Rivals. Thank you so much for joining us. You can join us live most Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time over on our Twitch channel, where you can continue the discussion with us live, because after this goes to black, we're continuing to talk. See you at the Atlanta Regional. Bye.